Monday, right? This guy has his time different. UTC +2. Okay, so a little bit. Oops. So Monday, okay. So looking at Monday price action, what do we got, right? We're gonna start with the 4 hour as always. Can also look at the daily. At the 4 hour, we identify this area, we have demand, right? We also swept that liquidity there, which is really good. As you guys can see, we got that liquidity right here. That is good to be swept. Now we do have a bounce inside this demand zone, which is okay, right? Now, this doesn't mean that structure has switched bullish yet. I would wait for either these highs and these highs to be broken to really look to target these highs. But for now, we could just simply have some buys, internal buys and internal sells, depending on where price is, right? So we are inside a demand zone. We bounce from it, yes, which is good. We have a break of structure to the upside, right? And then you have this demand zone left behind. Let's take it a little bit like this. So price could easily bounce back right here. So come back even. So what do we have? We identify also the supply zone right here, which is an area of potential short because it's still a 1 hour supply zone. That caused a break of structure going into your demand zone, having that 20-30 pips run to the downside, right? Okay. So now you're just gonna wait simply for Asia open and then see what's up, right? Asia. This is Asia open. Okay. So we're gonna drop down to the 5 minute and then see what price action is doing, right? So we had this small break of structure right here, which is good. Then you have left a demand zone behind, which is right here. We also have huge imbalance right there, but I don't really take a look at that. Then we have some liquidity here, not a valid demand zone because we have not swept liquidity. We have not broke structure, right? We didn't break structure here, so that demand zone is not valid yet. And I wouldn't short based off this, even though we have a chalk to the downside, because we are not anywhere near a supply zone, right? So there's no sign for reversal just yet. So what I'm gonna do is, am I recording? I should be. Yes, I'm recording. Am I okay? Audio capture as well. Okay, we're Gucci, we're Gucci. Last time I did record it, but my audio was off, right? My mic, so that was kind of sad. So we had no break of structure yet, right? This is just sweeping the liquidity, which is the Friday high, right? We have swept the Friday high right here, and then we're gonna see what plays out, right? Usually Mondays I don't like to trade Asia because it's a new week. Price action is a little bit different. We gotta see going through London where we are going, right? So what we see is price take out these lows, take these lows around London. Yeah, now this is about London Open, right? So we're coming towards London Open. What we expect is price to push towards these highs or come towards my demand zone, but since we're coming into London Open, we expect price to push real quickly. Probably take like maybe like 5 minutes or something to just straight go into our PY, because London is it's the most volume session is London. Actually, it's overlapping when it's overlapping with New York, but London session is probably one of the best sessions to trade, and that's why we are expecting this bounce to happen. I mean, fast move to happen, right? So let's see. We see price dropping back a little, taking those liquidities as we mark. Also feel this somewhat of imbalance, but we're gonna wait for a PY, or either we're gonna make new highs, right? Because we don't trade based off imbalance. Personally, I don't. Now we see we broke structure, but I want to see these highs clear first, because that was a liquidity sweep high, and that is not a liquidity sweep, that is double top forming. So that is a good idea for me to see that we might go higher. Because if you look at it closely, this is not a liquidity sweep, right? It's off like what, half a pip, right? So that identifies me that we are not going any lower yet, or we could go any lower, but I expect price to give me a pullback for a potential entry, and then price could go higher, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look for an entry. And where am I gonna look for an entry? I'm gonna try to look for an entry, anywhere between here, which is my demand zone right here, which caused a whole run, or anywhere, maybe these lows as well, right? Since we also have some nice liquidity here, this could be a nice zone. So that's what I'm gonna be looking at, and then we could see price potentially tap into our supply zone as well. So let's see. You always want to wait for that confirmation. Let's zoom a little bit more in, see what's up. Scroll a little bit. Okay, so we broke structure, which is good, right? So what do we have? We have a break of structure, but we have no taking out of the lows, which I would have liked. Dropping down to the 15-second. There's no real entry for me there, although it's not a bad like scenario to get an entry here, but I'm gonna wait for price to pull back and then maybe give me an entry, right? So we have the pullback around here, right? This demand zone right here, which is like simple. You bounce into this 1 minute POI, you broke structure, you come back, and then you run right through it, because we didn't get the confirmation I would have liked, which was gonna be my change of character flip, right? As you guys know, that's what I use. I don't use just a break of structure to the upside. That's not what I like, because it doesn't work for me. I mean, just in any scenario, it kind of doesn't work, because if you look at it, what you would have, right, is, so let me show it real quick. If for some people that don't know what a change your character flip is, you take your path. So how it is you go up, down, and then, so this is your whole move, right? So what do you have? You have a change your character to the upside, or a break of structure, right? And this is the liquidity sweep scenario, right? So you break to the upside. This is your liquidity sweep. You purge all this liquidity. Possibly this is a tap in your supply, right? Possibly, which would make this a good confirmation. And then what do you have? You have that low that broke structure to the upside getting broken by that high, meaning that we are gonna somewhat get a reversal, right? And then you have a supply zone left behind, price taps in and melts down. That's what I use. Now, of course, it doesn't always work, but that's my confirmation. And you can use this on the 1 minute, 15 minute, 1 hour, 15 second, whatever day, whatever time you want, like time frame. It doesn't really matter, as long as so you spot it correctly, and you just stick to how it's done, right? That's a simple version of wick coffee. I mean, it could. I don't know. I never read or seen Wyckoff's confirmation in my life, but it could be, right. I just know that it's with spring and all that stuff, so it's all confusing, right? That spring method. I don't know. It's nothing for me, but anyway, as you see, nothing really happened right here. We broke right through our demand zone. So what we're now going to be looking at is for price. We're going to wait for a 3 minute, 5 minute POI maybe, which I would take. I'm going to take this zone, but I don't want to really enter off here because we got the double liquidity, but I'm going to consider it. If a possible bounce happens, then I'm going to take that entry for sure, okay? So now we drop down to the 1 minute. We see what price is going to do. Either going to go up, break these highs, then we could get another entry. If not, that is fine, right? It's actually cold in my room now. So we left this liquidity behind, which I don't like, right? Leaving too much liquidity behind is never good. But it looks like we are moving upwards, right? Which is okay. Now we swept the liquidity we expected. So now I'm not taking this entry. And if you ask me why, it's just because we took those liquidities, which would have been our target, right? And because our target already got purged, I don't expect we go any higher yet until we, get another break of structure. So I'm probably just gonna wait for price to come inside these POIs, and then along the way take all this liquidity out, right? That's what I'm expecting. A price can bounce without me, which is fine. I don't really care, as long as I just want a good setup, right? Which is gonna be not any of these. So as you see, price easily melts down, uh, goes below the POI as we expected. So now we're gonna wait for price to come inside our POI. So there is price, taps into POI, beautiful wick. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait and see. Since we have something like this, the purge of liquidity, we want to wait for these highs to get cleared. And if it doesn't, then I'm still gonna wait. So no highs purged. Now we purge this as well, and we tap into this POI, right? So what we did, we just took out all this liquidity. So now a potential bounce is very more likely. So let's see how that goes, right? Potential bounce here is very likely, but you don't want to be bullish or bearish based yet. You just want to keep your mind correct. So let's see. Purge that liquidity as well. Now, if I'm looking at this, we probably will take this liquidity as well, because you go down that deep. There's no way you don't take that liquidity as well, right? So I'm gonna wait for that liquidity, even if price breaks structure, whatever, I don't care. I just want that liquidity be tapped first. Okay, so looks like price is kind of moving off. Now, there was no confirmation for me to enter based off anywhere. Like, I had no real break of structure, no anything, so there was no confirmation for me to enter. That's why I don't take the trade anyway. But we could now identify this, here. Same POI kind of. Then we have double liquidity here, which is really interesting. And we also have the time is kind of running towards New York closure, so I'm gonna wait, not really looking for a potential entry. So we're gonna wait for Asia now. Let's wait a little bit for Asia, which is around 2 o'clock. So right here. And then what I do usually is when I'm at Asia at the new day, I try to mark out my stuff again. So we're actually in a quite choppy range. If you look at it, we had Monday, no setups occurred to me. Very choppy range, which is okay. After this liquidity, you could have called an entry, which I think I did, but that was something for a 50-second, which I don't want to show. I only want to show 1 minute entries because most of you guys don't have the 50-second chart. That's why I want to stick to the 1 minute. It's not always about the time frame or the confirmation time frame. It's just about seeing the right things. Even what time frame doesn't really matter, as long as you just are there when it has to be, right? So now we're gonna wait. Here we have to rechart, of course. We have some potential POI, which is right here. This is like a small supply zone, which after that liquidity sweep caused new lows to be broken, and then we have these two demand zones as well, and to not forget the 50-minute demand zone as well. So now we're gonna wait. We have some nice liquidity here, which this high also here. So this would be a nice run up towards the supply and then get a rejection, right? That would be a nice run. Or we could just form more, come back down, and then go back up. That also works. So we're gonna wait and see what price does. Now what I expect doesn't really matter, because what you expect is never any importance in the market. What you usually want to do is just see where the price goes, which is going to be either my demand or my supply zone, and then based off that I gotta get the confirmation, and once I get the confirmation, that's just gonna be my entry. Very basic, right? So I'm not interested in any trades until we come towards the supply or demand zone, right, which is gonna be up here or down here. So that's the only thing I'm really looking at. Okay, so now we have swept our supply zone and swept our demand zone, right? Swept our demand zone. What we did, we swept liquidity. We didn't tap in this demand zone, which is kind of off, but let's go to the 1 minute. and see what's up, right? Looking at the 1 minute, do we have a confirmation? If you look at it, we have some nice confirmation. Um, okay, actually, okay, this is looking better actually. So what do we have? Okay, so now what you could do is take an entry right here, right? So what do you have? You actually have like a double confirmation right here. First of all, you have this purchase liquidity, right? And then move upwards. And then you have actually this purge of liquidity. And then move upwards, right? Then break these highs. So what I would do is take an entry right here. Go long right. Let me actually delete that demand so I don't get confused. So we could take an entry right here. Right, stops to be these lows, 5 pip. And then take profit would be these highs, right? So that would be your entry at 1 to 7. Now let's see how that goes, right? So there's your entry. You get another break, get another retest, which is okay, right? That could have been your more confirmational entry, I guess, right? But let's see how our price does. Good move. We could have gotten break even here, but let's say we held. Could have gone break even or not. So that would be an L, right? If you held, that would be an L. If you didn't hold, that would not be an making experience threat. I do kind of have that already. So this is minus, let's count it as -1, right? Even though I mean, it doesn't really matter if you go break even or not. At the end of the day, what really matters is you want to catch the whole move. You don't want to be going 50% partial at a random 1 to 2. Nobody does that. I don't even do that myself on my live. So I'd rather take the loss and take that partial. But anyway, now we're approaching this 50-minute demand as we discussed, which is a real chalk flip right here. Purge liquidity, go up. So this is also an interesting area to see a potential bounce off towards these highs as we expected, right? Now we're gonna move it a little bit up. No bounce in yet. So we're gonna be a little bit picky with these demand zones, right? Because we want that real bounce inside my demand zone. Okay, so now we're inside the demand zone. So now we're just waiting for simple confirmation. And once we get the confirmation, we will take an entry, right? No confirmation right here. So we're not gonna FOMO in. Okay, so there's the purge of my first liquidity. Now we want to break off those highs. But what you really see here is the purge of another liquidity. Right, this is another purge, or is it? You have to zoom in a little bit more. So this is the purge, right? This is another purge. Purge meaning liquidity sweep, right? So now you want to break these highs, which is right here, right? You even broke those highs, so you're good to go. So now I would take, actually, take it like this, or we could even take the whole candle. It's not that deep. Take an entry like that. Let me delete this and this. So this would be your entry, right? From here, what are you doing, bro? This demand zone right here stops to be the low, right? And then take profit. Where I'm looking at really is that 50-minute high, right? But you don't want to be too greedy with these take profits, so you're gonna be careful. So depending on the risk to reward, kind of you would also be happy with taking these highs, right? Taking these liquidity highs are also fine for a nice little 1 to 5. Nothing to complain about, right? So this is the trade I would take. Now let's see if it plays out. Yeah. Damn, what the fuck? Okay, that's a perfect entry actually. Holy. Okay, so as you guys see, that's actually a perfect entry. Was that caused by news? No, what it wasn't, I think. Was it 1545? Let's see. Because if it got caused by news, then sometimes you might not have gotten filled, right? But let's see. So Okay, so there was news, but this just shows that news was just perfect move inside my POI, which is real nice. And then you have that bounce of in one candle you bounce like 20 pips, which is nice. So there's your take profit, right? There's your 1 to 5 done. So you're now plus 4R for the week, which is nice, right? So on the same day you took this loss and then you took the win on New York, right? So London was an L, New York was a dub. So now really not looking for another entry since the time is coming towards 5 p.m., which is New York lunch. And after that, for EU, the volume dies off really as London closes as well. The overlapping goes down. It looks like the TP was not bad. Could have had a little bit of a higher TP, but that's fine. You don't want to be too greedy. So that was a good TP for us. Now we're gonna wait and see. Possibly wait towards Asia session because if you look at price now, it's not gonna really move that much because it's like quite late in the evening for EU. Even though price is running now towards Asia, we can get more clear view, right? This is just choppiness for me. No point in trading. Just wait till the new day, which is Asia. Which I don't condone trading EU during Asia. If you stick to London and New York, you're gonna be way better than trading Asia anyway. Because like I don't know, the volume is less. Just not an Asian pair, right? If you want to trade Asia, go trade GJ or UJ or I don't know, something like that. So now we are back to you know um another purge of liquidity, very important. Or we didn't. Oh, that's close. So this tells me that we could go lower even though we had this purge, right? And what people would think is, we have the liquidity sweep, we are going down, we are going up. But looking at that, we have left behind that liquidity by just a few pips, or even 1 pip, or something like point half a pip, right? Seeing that, I probably identified that we will go lower sooner or later, just depending where we get an entry from. And I would look for an entry right here, right? This is where I would look for an entry. Now let me refine that on the 3 minute. I'll take it like this. Don't want to be too greedy on the supply zones. And this is where I'm gonna be looking for sells. And once price comes inside my POI, I'm gonna look for a sell on the 1 minute. So for now, until this low gets taken, I'm kind of bearish. So we're gonna see, right? We also forming more liquidity, right, on the way, which is nice. The more liquidity you form, the faster you're gonna go down anyway. My bad. I'm a little bit sick, guys. Sick. Like not sick. Anyways, let's see where price comes. So now price tapped inside our POI very nicely. We're just gonna wait for the confirmation. Let's go to the 1 minute for that. Now, what do we see on the 1 minute? We see a nice little confirmation model, which is we have this break and then break this, right? This is good. So now we would take a sell right here and then have this, right? Why is this guy's there's confusion? And then you're gonna target these lows probably. It's kind of crazy, but that's fine. It's gonna be 1 to 13 if it hits. Let's see. Get an entry. Okay, so now do you go risk free? Maybe not, because you have another break of structure. Maybe price could bounce here, or we could run higher. We'll see. Gotta get to London Open, so let's see. So now I would go break even for sure, because you have another break. So now price should not retrace to our break even, right? And how much R is that? That's like 5 R running, so there's no point not going break even. Because imagine you run 5 R and you just end up going break even in a loss. That would be painful, right? Yeah, another low broken. So I don't see a point for price to come back, and we already came to London as well. So let's move it a little bit faster, actually. So it looks like price ran high, like 10, like 6 hour, and came back. So now what we have is, we have these highs getting taken. Now let's see what happens next. Let's identify this high that we could potentially run on. That is crazy wick. Now let's see what happens next. We get the drop down. Okay. Looks like we are dropping down. Looks like that was kind of a liquidity, but we left a double top behind. But that doesn't mean we can't go down. Now I would potentially look for this area to potentially short if we break structure here. Okay, so we broke this, so we had that 1 minute confirmation there. So again, taking this entry, not taking the high as a stop, because once we run above this, then we're gonna run those highs anyway. So you could take a little bit of a tighter stop, get a little bit of a nicer risk to reward. So that's a 1 to 6. See that difference from a 1 to 13 to a 1 to 6. So now we're +3, right? And I think I actually caught this entry, but it was on the 15-second, from what I know. Okay, so yeah, looks like no entry given by EU, just a pure liquidity sweep. Let's see if the 50-second gave that entry. On the 50-second, where would entry is just right here, right? Because on the 15-second, I enter market usually most of the time. Your stop would be like this again, and then your TP would be right. So that's a 1 to 4 you would catch. Not the best risk to reward, but that's not bad. You would at least catch it, right? So now what we see is, we have taken that liquidity. On the 50-minute, you see a nice little run to the downside. I'm gonna mark some 4-hour area where price could potentially bounce. Looking at, we have some liquidity here, and we have some liquidity here, right? But we already took that liquidity right here, and then we also have liquidities here. So you always want to consider these liquidities in order to see a potential area where price could bounce not randomly, but it looks random, but it's not random, like. So now let's move it further, see what price does. Potential bounce area. This is, although, a 4-hour demand zone. If you look at it, we are inside a 4-hour demand zone. Yeah, we're still inside the 4-hour demand zone, which is okay, right? Probably the refined zone as well. So we could see potential bounce right here. So what you have is purge of liquidity, and then you want to break above, and then you want to retest. So let's wait for the break above. No break yet. There's your break. So now you want to wait for the retest, and then you're gonna get an entry. Could even market enter this, but I only market enter on the 15-second because that's a better entry anyway. And where are we targeting? We could potentially target this supply zone right here, which is still untouched. So yeah, I would cancel my limit here because it's most likely gonna run to TP, which is fine. We missed the entry. That's not big of a deal. At least our bias was correct. That's what really is that important, that your bias is correct. And once you know your bias is correct, that's all you really need. So now what we're gonna do is wait for price to come in here, and if I see a small rejection, then I can take it. But if I don't, we probably will see these highs get taken, right? So maybe even tap inside here, to be honest. Let me take a closer look. Could easily tag in towards this supply zone right here. With the liquidity getting taken as well, is very, very likely actually. No, you would only look for continuation buys on 4-hour structure, bullish structure. Only on 4-hour bullish structure. If 4-hour bullish, meaning this is not 4-hour bullish, this is pure bearishness, right? You take 3-minute, random 5-minute. There's no really reason. No, there's no real reason. It's the same anyway, right? It's the same. I would take this on the 15-minute and then you refine it on the 3-minute. Right, so you would have it like this, for example, and then 3 minutes just, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's the same kind of. the end of the day, these supply zones are kind of the same. So we have this supply zone mark. So we're gonna wait for price to run towards there, hopefully. And if it doesn't, then it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Okay. So we purge that liquidity. We don't tap at the supply, but um, looking at this reaction, and if you get the truck flip, that would be okay for me to take an entry. Actually. Probably on the 15 second. I don't want to show it too much, but okay, there's no real entry here anyway. Okay, that's fine. So now we're gonna wait for these zones to get taken, and if they don't, then I wouldn't really take an entry here. Even if it goes down, there's no real confirmation, just a pure liquidity sweep and break of structure. That's not what I trade anyway, so could see price come back here actually. But it's not working. Okay, nice stepping down. Slowly stepping down. We want to see where price is at. Okay, so now we're inside the POI. I wouldn't take a limit, but this bounce is actually quite good. Looking at it, so I would take this bounce, right? Because we had identified this liquidity zone before, or this demand zone, my bad. And this bounce seems okay. I would take this bounce. I wouldn't take this trade personally, but since there is FOMC, but this was minutes. No, it wasn't that deep. Okay, minutes wasn't that important. So I could actually target the real supply, I think, because I think price is really gonna run higher towards that supply zone because it is unmitigated still, so we could see the run up towards there, right? So a little bit of drawdown, which is fine. Going to profit to drawdown again. Little bit of profit. Drawdown again. Now once we break this high, then there's no point for price to come back, right? Which we don't. We almost take a stop. Now personally, I wouldn't take this trade because it was too late in the day, but let's see if it plays out anyway, right? Because if it does play out, then we'll see if it was a good decision. And you're gonna have to hold during rollover, which you're 100% getting stopped out, so you might as well take the L anywhere here. Because with the spreads of rollover, I don't know, you're probably gonna get stopped. You're probably gonna get a fat wick now. No, you don't. Okay, that's interesting. Imagine just see, okay, okay. So that would be your stop, right? Now price came all the way here, didn't take that low, which is very weird, right? So we still expect that low to get taken. So we're just gonna wait for Asia, and then either take that low, wait for that low to get taken, because there's no way price goes this low and then doesn't take that low, right? So what do we have? Do we count as an L? Yes or no? I don't know. Do we count as an L? We could. Personally, I wouldn't take that anyway because the time was too late. But if you guys want to count it as an L, you could. Okay. Okay, that's really dead. Just take okay, so there's a liquidity done. Okay, so that's interesting. So now what we could see is price running, or we could see price just dumping, keep on dumping towards these, where did I mark it? I think 7030 was the liquidity. So we could see price also run towards there. So now we're just gonna wait for the confirmation, and once the confirmation comes, then we could take a potential entry on this. So we're gonna wait. It's like 5 a.m. right now. So I would wait a little for London to get a more clear view because I wouldn't take this at actually that is a purge of liquidity, and then but yeah, I wouldn't be awake at this time. I wouldn't really take that trade. If you look at it, what do you have? It is a decent confirmation, but since only liquidity and we kind of broke 4 hour demand, if you look at it, it's kind of break off the 4 hour demand. wouldn't really take that trade because we could really go deep towards here. So 120. Why did I do like that? So let's see. Okay, so we grab the low. We leave that liquidity behind. Now what do we see, right? If you look at it, what do we see? This is very simple. Supply that broke your demand. Very simple. Very, very simple. This is the trade you would have taken, right? So something like this. Because what do you have? You have, first of all, we break for our supply demand. Then we break the liquidity sweep flip demand. Then you trace and come back down. So now you're what? Targeting these lows, the 120 lows. So that would be your short setup. Would be a 1 to 20. That hit anyway. So let's take that into the side, and then you're gonna look for another entry because we missed this one anyway. Okay, so it looks like you got stopped out after you ran in some profit. But since we missed that, we won't count it anyway. Let's go to the 3 minutes. See, we're now focusing more on sales, right, rather than buys, because there's no point for me to buy right now because we broke supply many times, demand zones many times. So now what we're looking at is we're gonna wait for price to probably reject from this zone and then go towards that 120 zone, right? So we want a small confirmation model, and once we get that confirmation, we're gonna take an entry. Yeah. Let's not take it. Let's not look at that. It looks like you broke all these lows. No retracement. Okay. I wouldn't have taken that limit because I wouldn't have taken because no confirmation. Now let's see if we go straight to 120, which we don't. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, that is very interesting. So it looks like we don't go towards there. We'll leave that behind, which is quite interesting because I don't see why price would not go there, right? Because what you want to see is price take that liquidity, which it doesn't, which is very weird actually. Quite surprised actually. But this just shows me that we're probably gonna go there sooner or later anyway. So we're gonna wait for price to come inside any of these areas, maybe take the liquidity here as well. You know, that's something I'm looking at right now. We're looking for mostly shorts, not buys, because I mean, liquidity wise, we have to take the liquidity first. So waiting. It's actually Thursday already. It's crazy. So we haven't tapped in there, which I mean, if you would have taken it like that, I guess that was your tap in, but that's fine. So it forms more liquidity. It takes liquidity. Fine. Okay. So did that fake bounce at that chalk flip uh, place which we expected. Now again, same scenario. What do? We break that demand zone as we expect. What could we look for? Now, since we took out major liquidity, right, we didn't just take out 15-minute liquidity. We took out major liquidity. We can see a big reversal happen. And we're just going to try to identify the reversal. And if we do that, we're going to be, in a good spot. So we have purge of liquidity, break above. So now we could look for an entry right here, right? Actually, take it like this. This would be your entry, long position right here. Stops could be here, which is fine. I don't expect these lows to be run, and if they do, then probably gonna take that low anyway. So that would be your TP, this high or this high. Probably just this supply. Let's take a little bit big so we get Maybe look at the 50-minute. Um, yeah, so you gotta take it like that. That's a fat 50-minute supply. So something like, maybe you take it like this. I want to 5, yeah, that's okay. Something like this on the limit, right? That's what you would you take. That's what you would take. Okay, so it looks like we're mm, no fill by 1 pip, which is okay, I guess. We have that's like what you get for for too much refinement of your entries, which is okay, right? It's not that deep, but this is kind of painful. Now, um, price runs high now, which is nice to see. Now, if you run the low, then we could see potential entry, right? We gotta look a little bit closer. Yeah, so for me, there was no 1 minute confirmation. If you look at the 15 second, you did get confirmation, right? Chalk, chalk, and then you have this supply zone. So this would have been your entry on the 15 second. Stops to be like that. You could have even market entered at this point, which is okay. Then if you took profit right here, that's a 1 to 8. See if that hits anyway. So that would probably hit most likely. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. It's not really that deep. But what we see now, we could still see price come back, right? And I wouldn't count this as a dub because we didn't take it. So it bounced from actually coming towards there. So maybe it will come back on the 1 minute, right? So let's take it like the 1 minute. And let's see if price comes back, gives me the confirmation, then I want to re-enter, right? And once it does, then we can look for an entry at, for EU. But you gotta consider that's actually quite late at this point. But what you have is you have a nice little chalk flip. So looking for an entry at here. Stops to be above, TP again, these lows. So 1 to 5. Again, no fill. Okay. Yeah, so we're canceling that. That's quite dreadful that we didn't take that, but that's fine. So we missed 2 entries. Personally, I wouldn't take this entry anyway because if you look at it, it's 9 p.m. Not really a trading time anyway. So now we're just gonna reset our charts again. Looks like not real entries on the 1 minute this week. If you want to get the real confirmation, right? Like if you entered limit, then you would have gotten a lot of limits. But if you look at the price range, it's actually quite choppy, right? So yeah, it's like you make higher highs and you make lower lows, lower highs. You make higher lows and lower highs. That's actually weird. But yeah, so now we dropped down to the 1 minute. We're gonna wait for Asia, and then we'll see what price is gonna do because it's gonna be Friday by now. When trading, when trading choppy ranges, what aspects should you be aware of? If you're trading choppy ranges, always wait for the perfect confirmation. Like get the most confirmations you would on your strategy, and that's the entry I would take because sometimes you take an entry based on a break of structure on a 1 minute demand drop and just a simple break of structure you could. But since you're trading this choppy, I don't know how personally it wouldn't because it's actually quite choppy. The fuck is that? It was a fucking weird ass, what is that? Spider on me. Fucking kill that bitch. But yeah, now let's see what price does. Potentially 15-minute zones. Now looking at this, we could look more of liquidity wise. What do we see? We see a lot of liquidity here. I would more look at liquidity wise. See this POI right here. See that liquidity here above that imbalance as well. So any of these highs are also this kind of a supply zone as well. Although it did get mitigated, but that is fine. Uh, So really, no entries until maybe London. We do still have this POI. We have a lot of POIs looking at it, but we're gonna see if we get the confirmation on uh probably London. Not real, but it's still inside the supply. We still have these untouched highs. Still untouched. Okay, there are they gone. So yeah, that's an up and down movement till London. So we're looking towards this POI now to look for potential sells, right? So let's see. No break obstruction. We have break obstruction, but we have a lot of liquidity here. So I see that POI getting hold. So we're gonna wait as it comes. Sweeps the eyes. Uh, confirmation was there. I remember taking this trade live actually. Now you have a chalk flip on the 1 minute, right? And that's the difference between the 1 minute and the 15 second. So will you get that re-entry? You won't, right? Or will you? No, you won't. Looking at it now. Okay, so there was actually a re-entry. After the chalk flip and the liquidity sweep, you could have entered. But again, no real entry. But if you look at the 15 second, which is the entry we caught, because we had chalk to the upside, chalk to the downside, and this was our entry, 416, which we took actually on a live. And then we actually target too low. Do you mind showing the chalk on the 1 minute? There was no, okay, hold on. Wait, what am I doing? On the 1 minute, just, you could look at this, purge these highs and then break this low, or you could even have purge these highs and purge that low. Both work. And yeah, there was the entry which we took. Price did bounce on us before going to TP. I was aware of this demand, but it bounced from this demand, I guess. A lot of people caught longs off here, which was nice. Price came back to their, most people actually got break even, and then price went up. So now again, looking for potential areas, which is gonna be these areas liquidity wise. So let's see. Okay, so we purge the liquidity and we're inside this supply zone now. So now is there a confirmation? Not yet. Maybe if price comes back and rejects, then we could sell off here. So you could take an entry right here. You would probably 99% take an entry there because it did reject. And then your TP is 030, right? Which we discussed, which is actually right here. These lows, you see these lows are untouched by a few pips. So 030, that's your TP. So that's a 129 if it hits. So let's see, this would have been your trade, right? After that rejection. It looks like nice profits, right? Break structure. Maybe you could catch another entry once price comes back here. If it doesn't, okay, then you'll look for the next supply. That doesn't as well. Then you hit TP. Okay, that's a 129 basic rejection. Now again, I can show on the 15 second. That's probably better confirmation. Right, on the 15 second, you have the chalk flip. Right, chalk. So you enter right here, and your stop is like this on the 15 second. And that is a 10R on the 15 second. I mean, it's a 1 hour difference, but this would have made more sense on the 15 second, right? Because you have more confirmation, which is a 50-second flip, which on the 1 minute is hard to identify, right? I mean, you do have it, but it's hard to identify. And then you would have taken that market entry, or price kind of comes back towards this whole supply area. I mean, not really actually. No, that's not really a supply I would take. So that would be the entry as well, right? And there's your 1 to whatever, 1 to 9, 1 to 10, and then what do you have? Price pulls back, common size here, purge liquidity once again. You could take an entry right here, for example. So what do you have? You have purge liquidity go up, right? So you purge liquidity a lot of times. So one liquidity sweep, this is double liquidity, this is not sweep. One liquidity sweep, another liquidity sweep, and then you break above, right? Price comes to the demand zone. Let's say you have a reaction right here. Now I wouldn't take this trade because of time, but again, possible trade. TP simple around this week, let's say. That's a good move off. Now I wouldn't take this trade because it's so late in the evening, right? And it's Friday as well, so that's even worse. Could even target the supply zone, I think. But yeah. But there's full TP done. Simple. Right, so you have liquidity sweep, flip of the chalk, but price doesn't respect the flip first time. Then it purchases double liquidity, and then it flips. So that's actually a risky entry, but if you took it, that's a 1 to 5.7. I wouldn't take it. So I personally closed at 13R this week, so that was not bad. 13R usually risking 0.5% is 6.5%. That's good going for a week, right? That's your weekend, right? And now looking at EU on the 4 hour, what do you see? You have quite bearishness, very, very bearishness. I think we're gonna pull back towards here, to be honest. This is March price action. We could see a whole pullback there, or see, this is like a 1 hour, probably a 1 hour demand. Or we have to see a fat bounce after taking that liquidity, right? So we're gonna have to see. EU better bounce because EU against EU against dollar, and then we have CPI, NFP next week. It's gonna be fast as well. So we'll have to see. But but we're still bearish, right? We keep making new lows. 15-minute, 1 hour. This would be an area to look at potentially short from. But we're gonna wait for Monday open. Probably London. Not gonna trade Asia, which I don't do anyway, because